Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Greybeards of Beastwerx podcast, where we're talking everything Gulf War, and I, I think it's bigger than just calling it a Gulf War. I mean, it's a regional war verging on spreading even further. And with me to discuss, as always, my friend Ken Campbell, former Naval Special Operations, military intelligence, highly decorated, knows this part of the world intimately. And Bob Sands, Hall of Fame investigative journalist, who uh, is the best reporter I've ever worked with, and myself, Mike Betcher, former network foreign correspondent who worked a ton in that Gulf region of the world, and we're doing our best to try to figure out, and have been for months now, uh, where this war is going, what it is right now. Are we in peace? Is it spreading? Does it threaten the global economy? Well, yeah, we know that. We know all of this. It seems like every day is kind of a Groundhog Day. And I don't know, Ken, what's your read from our latest Cassandra report from Beastwerx, the situational report in the Gulf region? What's going on?
So, probably the most important uh, event that's occurred, and you kind of touched on it. We've got Egypt now involved with this drone strike that occurred against a U.S. flag LNG storage tanker. Um, Attribution is still a major question. There's reporting that I just looked at, as you know in the intro, Mike, that also attributes possibly this strike to the Houthis. There's another one that says from sources in Iran, they're claiming it, but we just don't know. We just don't know. What we do know is that uh, this is definitely opening up a broader geographic aperture and dragging yet again another country into the conflagration.
This doesn't make sense to me. And I mean, I'm not going to go down all the possible conspiracy theories that possibly out there, but it did this. It doesn't make sense that Iran would want Egypt drawn into this war. Outside of Israel, it has the most powerful military and by far the largest military um, in that part of the world. And why on earth, the Iranians would take credit for it if they had a message to send somehow. It struck an American tanker. What happened, folks, is there was an explosion at an LNG terminal um, near the Suez Canal um, in Egypt. There was a fire on an LNG ship and a fire on a liquid natural gas carrier as opposed to an oil tanker. That's a hell of a lot more dangerous. Those things, if they explode, uh, it's like a nuclear weapon hitting. That fire, from whatever caused it, spread to a second tanker. The Egyptians are now saying that was docked near it. The Egyptians are now saying that it was a drone, but no one knows where the drone came from because no one's taking credit on this. Those two ships were either towed or on their own power made their way out out of port, 13 miles out of port, and are apparently still burning. But there was uh, over 100 years ago, there was a gigantic LNG or a natural gas explosion at the port of Houston. Was it, Bobby? Yeah,
Yeah,
decades ago in Texas. It
Texas, yes.
killed many, many people. A gigantic disaster. So this is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you got any thoughts on this one, Bobby? Have you seen
Well, there's,
any chatter out there?
Ken's right. Nobody wants to claim credit at the moment. By the way, that was an explosion at the Freeport LNG facility that I think you were talking about. It was a major explosion in Texas many years ago. But anyway, nobody wants to take credit for it. But, also, as I'm sure Ken will point out shortly, the Saudis joined us in attacking Iranian proxies that are in Iraq, because those people were attacking some Saudi oil infrastructure. So we also had hits from Iran in Syria, in Jordan, in Bahrain, the Emirates. Kuwait got hit. You can't say the Middle East isn't on fire. It is. It has spread, and it's spreading even further and further. And now, with the Chinese making agreements to sell manpads, shoulder-mounted anti-aircraft missile weapons, to Iran, the Telegraph documented the whole thing, even though China is denying it. And Ukraine striking a ship, an Iranian ship, with military hardware on it in the Caspian Sea. It's like, goodness gracious, Ken, how are you keeping up with all this?
Yeah, it's exhausting because the situation seems to change minute by minute. And the strikes just keep coming. One of the things I'm reading here, with that strike that hit Kuwait, news is reporting, well, actually, from the Kuwait Defense Ministry, they're saying an Iranian strike hit a building belonging to a Chinese company in northern Kuwait, killing one worker. This is the first confirmed ground fatality inside a GCC state this campaign. Goes on to talk about Jordan intercepting additional Iranian missiles for a second consecutive day. Yeah, Bobby, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be surprised by anything at this point.
Well, we had a period of relative peace, and then all of a sudden, a couple of nights ago, the Iranians launched 5 missiles at Muwaffaq al-Salti Air Base in Jordan. All of those, according to CENTCOM, were intercepted. And then last night, another 5 missiles launched at the same base in Jordan. Dordanian Air Base that the U.S. also is operating out of. A secret base, not so secret, but no one can get there. And I don't understand. What do you think, guys, that the Iranians have to gain right now by ending that 2-3 day period of relative peace by firing more ballistic missiles at U.S. positions in Jordan? What do they have to gain by this?
I want to hear what Ken has to say. What I've read is that Iran is in a better position now than they have ever been, and that the Guard, the Republican Guard, actually sees themselves as dictating the pace of the fighting now. They can, this secret or this surprise attack showed that they're willing to go ahead and do whatever they want to. They think they can survive a U.S. response, and they'll call the shots on when the fighting actually stops. So, Ken, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, it's a game of multi-dimensional chess, and quite frankly, I think General Vahadi, the head of the IRGC, is running that board.
Yeah, tell us about
Trump
him.
is, the president is in a bad way. He doesn't have a good exit strategy. Anything that is agreed to at this point is likely not to bode well, for Trump's reputation and ego. And unfortunately, he's basically telegraphed, not only to Bahati, but actually the world, how to best push his buttons. And so I think, you're spot on, Bobby. Leadership in Iran, the RGC, who's certainly controlling all the instruments of power, feels this is the best way to lock in the conditions, excuse me, for a deal that really favors them.
That seems to be the case now, doesn't it? This really is the only way that we're going to be able to deal with this is if we give in to whatever it is they really, really want, which of course is control of the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, I mean, it's all outlined in the 14 step plan that was inked. And I think to your comment, certainly control of and being able to toll vessels transiting the straits is part of it, but there's also the relieving of all the sanctions, the unfreezing of monies, the funds to rebuild Iran. I mean, those things were all sitting in the agreement, and of course, they're controlling the straits. This will be unprecedented because there's been an international standard that no country controls freedom of navigation. And this will truly be a precedent. It happens there, and then the Houthis will do it in the Bab al-Mandeb, and you could see it happen in Straits of Malacca. Over in the that part of the world. So
there are those three sites. The last time I looked on the graphs and the information, they're all reporting decreased traffic. All three of those that you just mentioned.
Straits of Malacca?
Yeah.
No, the Malacca Straits.
Yeah.
Over in Singapore.
Reduced traffic there?
Yes. They're all red.
And then don't forget, we've got the world's largest populated Muslim nation right there, which is Indonesia. Which its president is an American ally, Prabowo Subianto. Subianto, excuse me. And who knows how wide this spreads, but I really think, look, the Iranians want to keep the pressure on Trump. I believe a lot of this is personal. And just like they did to Jimmy Carter many years ago during the American hostage crisis, they want to keep this thing drawn out. The longer it goes, the worse it is politically for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. So, we had 3 days of peace and people got a little bit optimistic, but, I don't see any optimism warranted. I don't see any way really out right now until the Iranians, for some reason, decide that they want to stop it. But right now, even with a blockade that is indeed a U.S. blockade against Iran, which has had, has a further effect on the Iranian economy, which is not good. But regardless of that, I don't think Iranian leadership really, really cares because they feel since the U.S. struck first, they've got the country behind them, no matter what the hardships are. They've been living with sanctions and hardship for nearly 5 decades, and they feel like they can continue on a few more months. But the problem is this is war creep, not mission creep, war creep. It just seems like the boundaries of this war keep creeping more outward and outward and outward until it envelops the whole world. And suddenly we wake up one morning and say, wow, we're really in a world war. I don't know. Am I being too Debbie Downer here?
I don't think so. I think the potential is there. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen, but I think there's a potential for this thing to keep going. Goodness gracious. Russia and China are knee deep in this thing now, too. So, I mean,
Well, they're enjoying it.
yeah, they're loving every second of it.
I mean, Mike, we've talked about, all of us have talked about how we have, over the years, certainly caused a lot of reason for China and Russia to take every opportunity to stick it to us, right? I mean, remember we supported the Mujahideen during the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, and eventually what that resulted in is not only the Soviet withdrawal, but it had a huge economic impact on Russia. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, his former agency, and he his comments to me were, kind of interesting. He said, "Yeah, this is their time to stick it to us, because at this point there's no good end state to be negotiated at this point for Trump and the United States."
Yeah, and the president's poll numbers are now lower than they've ever been. There are some polls that put it at 32% approval rating, and that's dragging down the entire Republican Party right now with that war that they've started with the president over his nomination for attorney general, because they got a couple of senators got primaried.
You talk about, cannon fodder for late night TV.
Oh, yes, big time.
Right. But the other thing too, let's talk about what are the alternatives, that could be pursued at this point by the U.S. We got boots on the ground, right?
Yeah,
boots on the ground, and then we have again that unmentionable thing, we have the power of WMDs. I think that one is off the table, but the boots on the ground thing, I think, is still there. The question is, number one, if they go boots on the ground, is that going to have the near-term impact, desire to bring this thing to a close? What's it going to cost in terms of blood? And then how is that going to impact the midterms? And in the Republican Party's, very, very thin hold on governing, from a majority position. So, I don't know. If this was a just war, if this had been analogous to a 9/11, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No.
We'd already be in Tehran.
Yeah.
But at this point, with the tit for tat kind of war going on, for us, for the United States and our allies, it seems like we're just pounding rubble right now. We strike back, but I don't think there's a target-rich environment out there right now, or things we haven't already struck over the past few months. As the term goes, pounding rubble. And a lot of this feels to me performative. You attack us, we attack you, but there's a red line that we may cross once in a while, dip our toe into it, which is hitting civilian infrastructure. But no one wants to go completely down that road. because the ramifications of that. So I don't know. Thoughts? And I may have to drop off for a second here, but go ahead and talk, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, again,
Mike's got some construction going
go
on. Go ahead if
Bobby.
you have to. Yeah, well, I think that's a very good point that you raised, Ken. There are not a lot of great options, and the president must feel cornered. And I think that's a very dangerous situation for anybody to be in. But for Donald Trump, I think it's near fatal. He has to do something. I mean, they got a big election coming up in less than 100 days, and his poll numbers are in the toilet. So it's like this is about politics now for him.
Yeah, what's it doing to the economy? Hey, Bobby, what's it doing to oil and everything now? I mean, the market dropped.
Now the market dropped.
You know, the floor just went out of it yesterday. I know part of that was probably associated with the the Fed holding interest rates, but some wanting to go ahead and raise the some of the
members of the board
folks there, and the Fed wanted to raise interest rates. I think there were 3.
Yeah, 3 of them said, no, we need to raise rates, but that's a 12-member panel, so they were in the minority, obviously. But one of the interesting things, and let me share this with you right now, is what's happening with the crude oil markets. This is from this morning, and they're falling. I mean, they started falling early this morning, and they're still going down because Brent was over 90, approaching $100 a barrel, and it's down to 89. And WTI, the benchmark for the U.S. is at 83. So those prices are going up, down, depending on what's happening at the moment. But more probably important than that is the actual supply situation, which is also not very good. Let me pull that one up real quick for you. Well, come on, computer, work with me here, buddy. The supply situation is really getting tight, and as evidenced by the latest numbers. And let me pull this one up for you. Here we go. This clearly shows what's going on with the supply of oil. It has decreased by 404.5 million barrels for the week ending July 24th. That's last Friday. That's the crude oil supplies. Commercial crude is down by 7.2 million barrels, down to this 405 number. In Cushing, they actually came up a little bit. They're at 24.5%, but the point is that's the operational minimum threshold, and they've been below it for weeks. One of the things that's going on, domestic production is down 13.8 million barrels a day, and that's largely due to import demands. We are exporting, not import, export. We are exporting a lot of oil.
Why are we not refilling the strategic reserve?
Yeah, the strategic reserve is down. Everything is down for us because we're sending so much oil out there to try to keep that market up. Meanwhile, China has been getting oil. I found that little tidbit this last couple of days. Over 1 million barrels a day they're getting somehow from Iran. I don't know how they're doing that, but they're getting it according to the reports I've seen.
No, they're just running the sneaky little ships right on by. And, there was a report about the Houthis letting 3 of them go through.
Well, China's their buddy. They're getting stuff from China.
Sure.
So the Chinese are going to get the oil they want, and they're getting it.
Yeah.
Hey, I was laughing here, folks. I spent years, decades in network television. Everything had to be perfect. And, you had a controlled studio and all of this. And here we are in 2026. Here I am in my home office with carpenters and painters going back and forth. And so much for for decades of trying to do the perfect show. So, excuse me, folks. There's a little construction going on around my house.
Let's just, take a step back and look at it for what it is, None of this is scripted. We're not that polished, but it sure as hell is fun to talk about.
It sure is. I like
it. And I think it's important. And quite frankly, the feedback that, I get is that people enjoy it,
Well, I hope so.
So, those that have, friends and colleagues, whatever, that have watched this go, nah, man, it's great. Just keep going.
And I think, weeks from now, even months from now, we're going to be talking about the same issue. I don't see this getting off the mark of where it's at right now, happening day to day. The pauses and then attacks resume, and and then a gradual widening of the war targets outside the normal area. I see us talking about this for a while. The problem is the law of unintended consequences, that someone makes a mistake. Let's say, for example, it could have been this Egyptian attack. If that LNG carrier would have exploded and killed thousands of people in Egypt, we'd be talking about something different right now.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very real possibility overnight.
Yeah.
Very real possibility.
Sure.
And that's what we can't predict, folks, is what is that one thing that completely transforms the status quo, that changes the status quo.
It's a great point, Mike, because if that LNG tanker had gone up like, a damn,
tactical nuke.
Tactical nuke. Thank you. I was trying to think of the right term to use. And killed thousands. Do you think Egypt would have any reservations about just going in for a little wholesale slaughter into Iran? They wouldn't be just hitting quote unquote military targets. My sense is that desire for immediate revenge and retribution would have quite frankly, a devastating outcome, and it would be the Iranian people that would suffer that.
Yeah. Folks, you don't know how close we came to that actually being reality. And so that's what we have to be on alert for, is, that one thing that happens that becomes bigger than it actually is, and is transformative. Right now, and it does feel to me like we are pounding rubble when we're attacking back at Iran. Most of the facilities and targets we want to hit are underground. Drone
production and storage and launch. I mean, if we're hitting them, we're not hitting them hard enough and fast enough, because they seem to be able to launch fairly regularly at this point.
Yeah, and I think the other thing for us to watch is, okay, what are, because there are going to be new routes for oil. What are going to be the new routes?
Well, let's talk about Syria.
Yeah.
You've got, overland from Iran up through Central Asia to China. You've got that prospect. And of course, remember, China's got the Belt and Road Initiative to build rail and all kinds of, transport infrastructure through that part of the world. And they've done so. I don't know where things stand now. It might be an interesting thing to take a look at. Those alternative supply lines, I'm sure we're going to see an acceleration in the development of those. Nobody wants to be held hostage by a piece of geography that includes a 21-mile stretch of water, basically, which is what the straits are, Strait of Hormuz.
And, there's something that the Israelis, I believe, have thrown out there as a possibility, that on the northern um, on the that at the port of Eilat or Aqaba in Jordan, that a pipeline, people could offload oil there. You have a pipeline running across Israel to the Mediterranean. That is
Well, that certainly, enables shipping from the Med to that port and avoiding, the Bab el-Mandeb. But you still have a lot of commercial traffic that would transit that. If the Bab el-Mandeb is going to have a gatekeeper, the only way around that is to, route around the Cape, South Africa, right?
Yeah, no, and that takes the time because the transit route now is it's like 19 days. And if that route is taken, it doubles at least the
Right.
amount of time
Right.
on that
Then
shipment.
everybody says, hurry up global warming so we can go over the top, right? So we go over, the, the Antarctic routes with the ice flows being, minimized by global warming and opening up those shipping lanes.
And for those increased shipping costs, if it's going to double the time, it's going to be double the price to ship it. And guess who pays for it? You guys pay for it. We pay for it. I pay for it. Americans pay for it. The whole world pays for it.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. And economically, you were right earlier on, Ken, when you talked about, this is the Iranian time for payback to make the rest of the world feel the pain. And they're certainly doing it. So,
well, they didn't, you guys got to remember, we were in the middle of negotiations with Iran, prior to the late February kickoff of the war, so, it's, there's a lot of good reason, certainly for, Bahati and the Iranian leadership to keep the pressure on. Where's the trust? There's no trust.
Yeah.
They want to bring, Trump down to his knees, and that's, when you think about that, it's like, what would that look like? It's hard to comprehend that Trump wouldn't try some Hail Mary at this point to salvage, his personal reputation.
Yeah,
that's where it gets dangerous. I think, Bobby said it, and he's, like a rat in a corner, and a rat in a corner can be really dangerous.
Very true.
Very true. Well, on that note, unless anyone has anything else to add, do you?
Well, one little tidbit I have to throw in there. Alex Jones is now calling for the immediate impeachment of President Trump.
Alex Jones.
Alex
I missed
Jones.
that one.
Yeah. The former owner of InfoWars. Yeah,
what's Marjorie Taylor Greene saying this morning, Bobby?
Yeah. Well, she's happy she got married, so she's not talking, but she's doing something else.
Did she really get married?
Yeah, she got married.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful. What's going on with Mitch McConnell before we come off, man? I mean,
yeah, well, Mitch is still.
Where's Mitch? Where's old Mitch?
Mitch is in rehab, barely able to do anything. So
there was a second video that they or photograph they put out, but no verbal communication from the senator.
Just him sitting there with that dumb smile on his face.
Yeah,
which looks very fake.
But yeah, I'm just not sure what's going on there. Interesting times we live in, folks. Interesting times.
Yeah. Well, as we say goodbye, I just want to share this with you. I'm really looking forward to going and filling up my SUV, which is, I just noticed that I've got 54 miles of fuel left on it.
Oh.
And I just can't wait to see that thing click over $100.
Because it's gonna.
Oh, yeah.
It sure is. Yep.
I
Okay.
mean, yeah, what the prices have done again, my Costco fill up, it was, yeah. I mean, every time I go, it's like over the past couple of weeks or 3 weeks, it's been, another 20, 40 cents higher, another 20, 40 cents higher. Just keeps going up. There were some new figures that came out again that since the start of the war, the average cost to uh, American families is an additional like it's close around $650.
Yeah.
And with money was already tight, it's even tighter now. So I'm going to try to figure a way. When I teach at the University of Oklahoma, so when school starts in late August, I'm gonna try them someday, not like a day or two a week. Try to do some things remote with my students rather than driving the 25 miles down to Norman that I would normally drive, just to make up for that increased gas price. Just got to just figuring stuff like that, and it's the same for my students. Some of them drive and commute. And so you got to be thinking that sort of a thing. We got to figure out innovative ways so that people can get by during this really tough period.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, gentlemen, I'm gonna go out and inspect the work on the exterior of the house here, and uh, they took a break on me. My crew out there of one, which is my nephew, by the way. He's a great carpenter, and now he's moving to the painting part of this. So that's what he came in here to get, was a can of paint.
It's always good to keep it in the family. It's always good to keep it in the family.
Yeah, no, you keep it in the family. You can, yeah.
Yeah, Debbie's got her lawnmower.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, well, we'll hear about that next episode.
Okay.
Hey,
Seriously,
love you
I'm
guys.
not allowed to touch the lawnmower.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Love you
right.
guys. We'll talk soon.
See you later.
Bye-bye. See you, everybody.